ปัญหาคือว่าตอนที่อัดอ่ะมันไม่มีคอนเซนต์จากครูเลยเพราะว่าครูมองไม่เห็นเพราะว่าครูเปิดเต็มจอเวลาฉายแชร์หน้าจอนะคะเพื่อจะได้เห็นบทเรียนเต็มจอทีนี้กำลังจะบอกว่าถ้าตรงไหนไม่ทันแคปหน้าจอไม่ทันหรือต้องอธิบายเพิ่มเติมบอกได้เลยนะคะหรือแม้แต่ผ่านไปแล้วจะย้อนกลับมาถามของบทก่อนหน้านั้นก็ได้แต่ถ้าเป็นบทก่อนหน้านั้นอยากให้ถามก่อนเริ่มเรียนแทนที่จะเข้าบทใหม่แล้วก็ย้อนไปถามอันก่อนอันเก่านะคะมันจะได้ไม่ mix up สองอันแล้วก็ยอมรับว่าพูดเร็วไปหน่อยเนาะก็จะพยายามช้าลงเพราะว่าเวลาฟังตัวเองก็โอ๊ยตายแล้วพูดเร็วขนาดนี้เลยใช่เหรอก็อาจจะไม่เร็วสำหรับบางคนแต่หลายครั้งที่คนที่รู้สึกว่าเร็วบางคนก็ไม่กล้าบอกในห้องนะคะอยากจะบอกว่าไม่ต้องกลัวที่จะบอกครูนะคะบอกได้ค่ะโอเค today we are going to talk about cover letter and this is the cover letter from different sources and you may take a look at this and you may find that it looks quite neat and clean, but we don't see the detail because it's very small. And it's my intention not to have you look into the detail because when we look at the layout and format, we just look at a glance and not reading the content. But now let's see the cover letter. Why do we write a cover letter? As we mentioned earlier that we want to convince the reader or the potential employer that we are the right candidate. Just a resume is not enough. Resume and cover letter, each one has different function. We start writing with the resume, but we put the cover letter on the first page and we attach our resume with the cover letter. And the cover letter is written after the resume because it expand from the resume, and that's why we write it after. And your first assignment is the resume, and the cover letter assignment comes after the assignment of the resume. So what is a cover letter? It's a letter that introduces you to the potential employer to let them know what you have to offer, not what you can take, not because they have good salary, they are an established company, but you have something to offer and meet their requirement. And how are you going to write the letter? We'll tell you step by step from the format and about each paragraph of what it contains. Why a cover letter? We want the person who read your cover letter to have an impression that you are the right candidate and that they will look for more detail in the resume. And then we expect that they will call us for an interview. And that's the main purpose of writing the letter. Without interview, there's no point in writing this letter because you want them to call for an interview. Because reading from resume alone is not enough because you have to expand the resume into the cover letter. But this doesn't mean that you have to expand every point. We only picked the major accomplishment or your key skills and emphasize them and give evidence that you do have that qualification that you claim to have. Now, let's see the cover letter. First, as I mentioned, it introduces job seekers, your work history, professional skills, personal interest, and accomplishment in applying for a job. But you may think, well, we have mentioned this thing in the resume, but we will not repeat the resume. You may mention about many skills in the resume, but you don't put everything in the cover letter. You only highlight them. You communicate them what you have to offer to benefit the company. And you leave the reader convinced that you are the right person for the job. There's so many many applicants send their application, but you want to convince them that you are the right person, not just a candidate, but you are the right person that they should choose you. And you need to follow the guideline of the business letter. What does it mean to have the guideline of the business letter? Business letter is a formal letter, must be written in a formal form and must be perfect. No spelling mistake, no grammatical error, must be well organized. Okay, in summary, CV gives you the information about your education, qualification, professional experience you have, but the cover letter explain why you want a job. So it complements your CV, not duplicate. Duplicate means the same thing. Like when you duplicate file in the computer, you get exactly the same thing. But this is a complement. Mean it added to your CV. What you added to the CV is something like an example or evidence of the skill that you have, about your accomplishment. That's what it added to. That's why I say complement. Complement mean added to this. It make it complete. When you think of the complement, think about the word complete. Why do I mention about the word complete? Because it's spelled with an E. There's another word complement, spelling with I. That one has different meaning. So this is the one with E. Okay. What to include in the cover letter equal what the hiring managers want to see. We write what they want to see. If they want to see that you have communication skill, teamwork skill, we should include those things in your cover letter. But it doesn't mean that what they want to see and you don't have that skill and you write it down. No. We mentioned last week about the resume. You need to tell the truth. So don't make it up. Write down of what you have, but it also matches with the hiring manager want to see. You should write down the job title and where you saw the job opening. Like maybe you see from the company website or from the advertisement in the newspaper or magazine. So tell them the job title. It's very important to put the job title in your cover letter. Remember, it's the first page when you send it in. The second page will be resume. So if they don't see the job title from the very first page, it means that they don't know what you're applying for. You may apply for one job, but they receive application from many people who apply for different positions because they may recruit for 3 or 5 positions at the same time. So you need to put a job title in your letter. And it must be in the very first paragraph. When we talk about what each paragraph contains, you will find that job title will fit into the first paragraph. Your value, and this is something that you have to expand from your resume. Specific words and phrases from the job description. This is very important. If they say you must have 3 or 5 years experience and you must have exceptionally good English, both written and spoken, then that means that you must have those things in your resume and in your letter. If they say you need leadership skill, they may look for the word leadership in your letter and resume. If you don't have certain phrase and words that is mentioned in the job description or requirement that they have mentioned in the ad, they may think that you might not have that skill. So be sure to check the words and phrases from the job advertisement that they have, those things, and does it appear in your letter. Sometimes they use the computer to scan or search for some phrase and words that they have in job description. And if they don't find it in your letter, they mean you are a candidate. Because this is the basic requirement. More than that, they check about it in the interview. But on the basic level, they will search for things that they have advertised to see if you do have those skills and qualification. A referral. A referral is different from the reference. In the resume, we mentioned that we don't give them reference from the beginning until we pass the interview and their request. Then they will give them reference. Reference is a confirmation that you have that skill and qualification that you claim. A person who write the reference we call referee, but this is referral. Referral is a person who gives you information about availability of the job in the organization. For example, if Thai Airways International staff or maybe HR manager told you that, yes, we are going to open a new position, or we may get a replacement for the vacancy, you can write it to us, write the letter and send a resume to us. And that person is someone who tell you the news about the job opening, or even though it's not yet open, that is referral. But normally, you will get this when you get even you have connection within the organization, or maybe your friend may tell you, but your friend is not a real referral. A free referral is if a friend is in that organization, yes, he or she is. And referral that you mentioned in your letter should be a person who is well respected in the company, not a secretary or clerk who type something or heard about that and come and tell you. Should be something like maybe a manager or a well-respected person in the company who may give presentation or work as a speaker in the conference that you attend and you talk to them. That can be a referral. And you will see example of referral in the letter after I show you the extract that they get from the letter. Okay. In general, about cover letter, as I mentioned, see if you get what I just talked to you a few minutes ago. Another word for cover letter is application letter. They both are the same thing, just different name. Okay, let's see. CV gives information about the educational qualification and professional experience you have, whereas a
cover letter,
yes, explains why you want the job. A cover letter should
complement.
Yes, complement, not duplicate. Remember, I just emphasize that make the right spelling. PLE, not I. I is another word, have different meaning. Should complement, not duplicate your CV. The main purpose of a personalized cover letter. Remember this, and we'll talk about this later. Personalized cover letter. It means that it must be yours, not copy from others. And you must craft the letter according to each advertisement. So you cannot send the same cover letter to all 10 companies. The same as when we talk about the resume, not one resume to all companies. But cover letter is even more in details that is more specific, that you need to have a personalized one. It is to persuade. If you have another word, convince is also correct, but in your exercise, it has the word persuade. So it's persuade the reader to read your CV and consider you for the vacant
Position.
Yes. A cover letter is often your earliest written contact with a potential
Employer.
employer. Yes, you contact employer, but that person is not yet your employer, so we call potential employer. That means they are likely to be your employer in the future. Okay, a cover letter is often your earliest written contact with a potential employer, creating a critical first impression. You want to give them a first impression. A well-written cover letter demonstrates your written communication skill. It's not just well-written, but also something modified cover letter. You need one more adjective. A well-written,
Well-focused.
well-focused, very good cover letter. Demonstrates your written communication skills and will help you to get that all important
Interview.
You want to get an interview. That's the final destination. Okay. The letter of application should follow the general guideline for all business letter. It should have an introduction, a main body, and final paragraph. Here I should put letter because here we all have business. The word letter should be here, not the blank. Sorry for that. Okay, it should have an introduction, a main body, and a final paragraph. Business letter have formal form. Introduction, main body, and final paragraph. But it doesn't mean that there are 3 paragraphs because the main body can have many paragraphs. And there is no fixed rule that there should be 3 or 4 or 5. It depends on your content. And remember, writing a paragraph, there must be one main idea for one paragraph. So if you have a lot of things to mention, don't mix them up in one paragraph. Separate them into different paragraphs for different ideas. So your content in the paragraph, you follow the paragraph writing that you have learned in the past. You may have top sentence and content that relate to that you can give example, or you can give more detail about what you have mentioned from topic sentence. Okay, if some of you haven't got that in every space because you did not answer, this is the answer key. And this is actually the exercise from your book from page 34. So in your book, when we get to this exercise, we will not do it again. So if you want to get an answer, you can capture the screen. Okay, now this may be very small. That's my intention, to make it small, that you don't need to read the detail in the letter, but just take a look at a quick glance on this. How would you feel about this letter? I didn't say this is the best one, but I said this is an example that you can take a look. Is it okay? Acceptable? Good? Very good? Well, if you can't read the letter, actually you can say very good, but I just want you to take a look at as a form or the layout. Is it good? Also, this is not a standard, so don't worry about criticizing this letter. Just your opinion.
I think that have a lot of to
I think your sentence was cut off maybe because of the signal. I'm not sure. Can you repeat again? Because
I'm sorry. I think it have a lot of information on this. Hard to read. Hard to read.
Too much?
Yes, I think it's too much.
Okay. Any other opinion of what you have seen on the screen?
I think the form is not proper. Like in each sentence, we have to. I think for the formal letter, the end of each line have to be the same point.
Oh,
Now it's just look like the stair now.
With which part? The end.
Every part. I mean, at the end of each line should be just like end in the same spot, not like this.
You mean the end of the line on the right margin?
Yeah.
Oh, you think it should go in a straight line, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me tell you, if it have the left margin in straight line like this, right? But if the right margin is the same with the left margin, there will be the space between the word. Make it hard to read because natural way of reading, we normally read it to have it go smooth. The next word should be next to the previous word. So this is okay, acceptable. And it should be like this. Because if you have long word and sometimes when you want to end this to have it align with the next line altogether, then there will be big space over here. Maybe it leave like 3 or 4 typing space. It will make big gap. So this is easier to read. This is already acceptable. And for the one who say it's too long, we can't tell whether it's too long or not until we see the content, whether the content is something relevant to the job advertisement. If it is, and it expands from the resume and with the same information that they give more evidence, that's acceptable. So to say long or not, we have to read the content, whether the content is something relevant or not. And also 1 page would be okay. In general, we make it in 1 page only for the letter. Some people may have more than 1 page, but usually we usually do it for 1 page. 1 page is good enough because we highlight only the major achievement and skills. So you can give more detail. If they see that you are a person who have the right qualification, they may call you for an interview and you can expand more during the talk in the interview. Okay. Anyone else would like to make comments on the layout? Is it okay to have some color and some watermark, something like this? Is it necessary to have only plain paper in white, no color, or is it okay?
It's okay.
It's okay. It should be in white, but you can have some watermark like this, which is not much, but if it's, make you feel dizzy because it's a lot of things. So like with a vibrant color, something like that, that's not good. So plain would be better, but small part with some color like this would be okay if it's not much. Okay, now let's look at the format. As you mentioned, you have introduction, body, and closing paragraph or the final paragraph. But this is a standard for any letter. How can they contact you? You must have the return address. That is your address here. And this is called recipient address, the address of the person who received your letter. That is a company that you apply for. So this is part of the heading that you must have. You must have the salutation, dear Miss or Mrs. or Mr. someone. Always remember that this is the last name only. Don't put Mr. and Mrs. or Miss with the first name. And then you have comma. You need to have the space. Okay. With a quick glance, as I mentioned, if you look at the format and the layout, we see how they do the spacing. Line spacing in the first paragraph, second, third, fourth, fifth have the same space. And between paragraph also have the same, except this one, which should be a little bit up here so that it would be the same as here and here and here. This one a little bit too much. But over here, you can have big one to have your signature over here. But generally, you have to have the consistent spacing, the same line spacing and the same paragraph, space between the paragraph, okay? And the font should be the same all throughout the letter. You may have the date, like here, they put it italic, a little bit different, maybe okay, just a date, because they put it next to that one. But some people would have double spacing here to have it separate from your return address because it's a date. It's different thing. And the same thing, I want to emphasize to you, I will not comment on your address because I have emphasized it already. So in the comment, when you submit your cover letter, I only may circle, but I will not say what's wrong with it. As I already mentioned last time, that when you write the address, it should be in block like this, not go from left to the middle or to the right in 2 lines. No, it shouldn't be that long because this is a general format of the address you have. This one you have the name and position of the person who do this recruitment and the name of the company with the full address. And don't split the name of your city. You don't need to have Thailand. This person may have Auckland, New Zealand. Auckland is the name of the town of the city in New Zealand, and New Zealand is a country. But if you apply within our own country, there's no need to put Thailand. Just Bangkok and zip code would be enough. Okay. People in Europe and America, they work. Sometimes they work far away from home. They move to different states. Or maybe they move from one country to another in Europe because they are very close to. So sometimes they work in different country. Or they may apply while they are in different country. They are about to finish their degree in another country. They'll come back home to work, something like that. They may write the address that they can be reached by putting the country so that they'll know, okay, because Auckland, the same name may appear in different country. People who move from Europe to America and Australia, New Zealand, sometimes they have the name of the city that they build a new town. They have the name of the town the same as the name of the town that they came from their homeland. So that's why they need to put the country to let them know that, okay, this is another country. Okay, after heading, then you have salutation, dear. And as I mentioned, never make a mistake on this. Don't put the first name. And I saw it last term, at least 5 people put the first name. So don't do that. Now, the opening paragraph or your introduction, the same thing. When you open up your writing to introduce about your qualification that you want to introduce, you need to have an opening paragraph first. And this will be just a short introduction of who you are. And you must have the position, as I mentioned in your cover letter, you must have the position you apply for. It must be in this paragraph, not in the second and third. It must appear here at the first paragraph, because when the reader read this letter, they will see, oh, okay, you apply for logistic or cargo manager or whatever, or sales engineer. When they recruit for many positions, they have to categorize all applicants into different stack, and they read the same position at one allotted time, not reading about the position of engineer and then accountant, and then because only accountant, and they will distribute it later on to a person concerned who are handling the position of accountant. So they will separate the letters into different stacks. So if they don't see it from the first paragraph, they don't want to go through the whole letter. They don't have time, and they don't want to get you into the interview because they can't find your position here. So your position must be in the first paragraph. Tell you a bit about you in brief, about the position and where you see the ad. That's the opening paragraph. And then you have the body. It can be 1, 2, 3 paragraphs, or can be 2, or can be 4. There's no fixed rule. Depend on what you have to write in this letter. And then you come to the final paragraph. But here the body, I would put first paragraph, second, and ... That means that you can have more. There's no limit, but not too long as it fits into one page. Even though you have a lot to write, remember, you have to choose the major achievement. To general, especially the new graduate, you don't have experience in full-time working, but you do have experience in maybe in your internship, in some event that you have organized, but still it's enough that you can choose something to emphasize here. One page would be enough. And then you have closing paragraph. The closing paragraph should call for an action. That is to invite them to call you for an interview. And then you have a formal closing. And how you write this is also important. This is not the best example, as I mentioned, John or something. There should be space. There should be space for signature, and typing of your name should be below. Okay, this is how it looks. The most difficult thing is to write the body of the letter. You can follow the opening paragraph by using some phrases that you can see from example, and there are many examples. There's not only one way to write. You can write in many different ways, and you see a lot of examples in the internet. But this is something that you have to write. That's why we say personalized cover letter, because it must be your letter that talk about you, not about somebody else, and it must be in accordance to your CV, not somebody else's CV. That's why you can't copy from the internet. And the language, when you copy, it's different from your own language. And they can tell when you have an interview that it's not you. And sometimes you choose one paragraph from one letter, another paragraph from another letter, and it doesn't go along in one letter. It doesn't go smoothly. The different tone of language, a reader can tell. So it's better to write your own. Okay, opening paragraph, as I mentioned, this is an example from your book. I am a final year student at King's College, London. You can change it. I'm a final year student at Civil Aviation Training Center, reading or studying cargo management, something like that, and would like to apply for, this is the name of the position you apply for an associate consultant position. A, cargo something, if it start with C, but this is because it start with A, so they put N, and position with the company that you apply for. As advertised on, with the website you put on. This is not company's website. Monster.com is an agency. It's popular in America. But you can put the company website if you saw it from the company website as advertised on. But this is not the standard form. There are different ways to write, but this is an example to see what it should contain in the first paragraph or opening paragraph. That is, explain to the recipient why you are writing. Some people say, well, you are highly motivated by your advertisement that you have seen from some web and you want to apply for that position. There are different ways to write, but the 3 main things that you must have is to tell them who you are. This is the final year student. You're not yet graduate, but you can apply. If you don't want to stay without job or stay unemployed after you graduate, you probably have to consider applying for a job before you graduate. And even when you do the internship, sometimes if you are doing a good job and they see your potential and they feel that you are a person who should work with them in the future, they might ask you to work with them. So make sure if you can choose on your own. But I've heard that some students said the institution choose the company for you. But if you can choose the company that you want to work with and try to get into their organization as an internship or as a trainee. And then if they see that you are capable, you are likely to get a job, because they, instead of spend more money in recruitment, they want to get someone they already know and know that you can do it because you have been with them for a while. So make a good impression when you do the internship. Don't think, wow, this is part of my degree that I have to do some internship, so I just do it. Work it like you are working for them. Make a good impression so that they want you. Many people get a job from the place they have their internship. Okay, as I mentioned, position and how you discover or where you saw the ad. Okay. Okay, the body paragraph. This is
อาจารย์คะขอดูหน้าเมื่อกี้อีกทีได้ไหมคะ
yes. Okay. Any questions you can ask?
ไม่มีค่ะ
Okay.
ค่ะ
Look at the body. Plan the content based on the requirement of the job or the job description that they have put in the ad. This is why I asked you to attach the resume with the advertisement, because I want to know whether you are matched with the requirement that they put in the ad. Some people are very good, but what they have put in the resume does not match the advertisement, because they forget to think about this thing. Also in the letter, as I mentioned, all these things, the ad, the resume, and the cover letter, all these 3 must be together in the same way. So plan your content based on the requirement, not just start writing the letter and trying to tell you how good you are, but you have to think about what they want for their company, the kind of requirement they put. Do you have those qualifications? They put about the job description would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Put something in your letter of those phrases you get from the job. As I mentioned, they may search for the keyword. So you need to write them based on the requirement. You have to expand from what you have in your resume. Expand from the accomplishment listed in your resume. Instead of put something new, why not expand from your accomplishment? Because if something new, you think, oh, I also have this thing, that one also should be included in your resume. If you said you are exceptionally good in leading people, doing things as a team, that is, you have a leadership skill, and you expand from your thought by telling them of your accomplishment, but you never mention about leadership skill in the resume, they may wonder, what is that? So you expand from your resume. As I mentioned, not everything, but you pick only the major accomplishment. You highlight the relevant experience and expertise, not just accomplishment, but about your experience. Sometimes they ask you to write your qualification in the way that, not sometimes, it always, but I mean, they say in the requirement they want certain thing, experience on this and that, or the expertise on certain skill and in some field. If you have those things, you need to highlight it and let them know that you do have that thing. Include why you would be an asset to the company. Some people ending the letter as, I would be excited to work with your company because you are well established and famous in this industry. Not because they are good, but what about you? They want you to be someone who can join with them in creating success for the company. So you must be an asset to the company. An asset has a value. If you have the value, you are the asset to the company. So you must include why you would be an asset to the company. That is, you can fulfill the requirement that they have. Not what you can get, but what you can offer. Remember, we will not just only want to take, but we want to give. We give and take in balance. Give a succinct and visual example. What does it mean to give a succinct and visual example? For example, as I said, we expand from the resume. If you said you are a very good salesman, you're the top sales in 2021, but how would they know that your sales are successful? Successful in some people may have different meaning. It's not an absolute term. For some people, get 3 million baht sales is good enough, but for some people, 10 is considered enough. 3 would be not enough. So you need to give us an example. For example, if you talk about sales, you can mention about, you can raise the income of the company by your performance, because you did the sales in the last quarter by increasing your sales performance to about maybe 30%, or you get it to 3 million baht, for example. 3 million baht or 5 million baht is something they can see, oh, that amount, not a lot of money. We don't know a lot. What does it mean? But if you say 5 million baht, okay, they know 5 million baht, but it's still not enough. 5 million baht in 1 quarter or 1 year or 2 years, they don't know. So you must give the time frame to let them know that, okay, this amount that you consider of your being successful is with this figure in this period of time, like in the last quarter or in summer quarter or whatever. So make sure that your example must be succinct and visual. Let them see it, not say it in the vague term. Okay, in the closing paragraph, this is quite easy, but what you need to consider, keep in mind when you write a closing paragraph, what you need to contain, that is to express an appreciation for the reader's consideration. You might thank them for reading your letter, for considering your application. You need to include a gentle interest in the next step. Be polite and request an interview, but not demanding. They said never demand for an interview. Remember, you will get an interview only when you are qualified, when they say, oh, this person is good, I want to talk to that person. So they'll call for an interview. But you can tell them that you like to have an interview with them, but you cannot demand, because you will never know whether you'll be considered or not. So that's why you need to be polite. And in your book, there'll be an exercise to see some people who are very demanding and quite conceited and think, oh, he's very good and that he is exceptionally good, that the company should not miss him for interviewing him. And that's too demanding. We'll see example of different closing paragraph, whether which one is good or not good. We'll criticize that later in the exercise. But this is in general, not be too demanding. but you should mention about getting an interview in a polite way. The last paragraph, not just to say, oh, we need to close the letter. Just say thank you and you wait for reply. You should call for an action. But when you call for an action, you do it in a polite way. Add a succinct summary of your value. Sometimes you can also summarize your value. Because they have read your letter in the whole letter for many paragraphs, make sure that they still remember, and you may highlight and give succinct summary of your value to convince them that don't forget about this. And then you close it with appreciation and with a call for an action. So this can be something added to the final paragraph. It depends on what you have. You end a letter with a professional sign off, not say just never say bye. That's about the friend, right, to the friend. And some people say best regard acceptable, but for me, I don't think it's acceptable for the professional letter. That can be in the email, but for the formal letter, you can put something like sincerely, even sincerely yours, yours sincerely, yours truly, something like this. What I want to emphasize is yours. Always have S, whether it's in the first word or second word, yours. Okay, the first word is the big one, big letter or capital letter, or sometimes we call uppercase, American English. But the second one, you should not put it a big one, just small y, okay? No uppercase. Sincerely yours. Only S is a big one. No big Y, okay? As we know, we have American English and British English, the same thing with the business letter format for American style and British style. Heading would be similar, but sometimes it's on the left or right. This one should be aligned to the left for the heading of American style on the left. But you see from your book, an example of your book, you will see on page 35, you put on the right, the date, as we mentioned from the CV, month and date. Which one comes first? American style month, British date. But don't mix up. If you use American style with everything. If you use British style, use British style with everything. This is also including spelling. We have spelling in different way for American spelling and British spelling. So if you want to do it in any style, go ahead, do it, but try to fix into one thing. Salutation. Dear Mr. or Miss Smith. Don't put both. If you know a person already, you know that is a man or woman. Last name can't tell, but you must know it by doing your homework or maybe from the app. Say that you should contact Miss Smith. So if you have Miss Smith, don't write Mr. or Miss Smith. We put MS when we don't know whether that person is single or married. We can put MISS or MRS. We can put MS. Okay. When you don't know, you can put Miss. Dear Sir or Madam, when you really don't know the name. Gentlemen, we usually don't put it in. American English have a lot of things different from British writing. And when you see the tone of the writing in the letter, when they think about being a person to get an interview, American people, American style, tend to be demanding for interview rather than British style. British style is more of what we call more polite. And they don't demand much like American style. Complimentary close. This is I. It's the close of the letter. You see from here? Yours sincerely and yours faithfully. This is British style. You may have heard in Thai, or in Thai words, people say "Puri Angkrit." The picture of the British style, carrying umbrella, and they talk politely, and they dress formally. They write things, and even the way they speak, they stress the word, and they pronounce it. When I was in America, because I didn't have American or any native speaker taught me when I was in school. And when I finished my high school and I went to America for a year, and I find that the way they talk is different. And when we have breakfast in the morning and at the dining table, they say, "Oh, could you please pass me the butter, please?" But if British English, they won't say butter. It's like D instead of T, butter. Pass me butter, please. But for British English, they say butter. I remember when we listened to the cassette tape long time ago, when we studied English with our native speaker, we have to listen from Thai teacher who turn on the listening piece. When we have to learn how to pronounce English, they say butter, and that's how they pronounce. So with the writing, they also have different things here. Yours faithfully, yours sincerely, or sincerely. Sincerely may be the same for both, but here, look at yours sincerely and yours faithfully. They start with yours for British style. But for American English, if we say sincerely yours, this is American English, American style. Sometimes they say yours truly, T-R-U, no E, T-R-U-L-Y. But British style don't use yours truly. So choose what you want to choose. I don't force you to use British style, even though we use British textbook. Actually, I myself prefer American style because American style is, easy, and we feel more relaxed in anything because I was in America before. Well, in England, I travel, but not staying. So choose that thing. Also, look at this complimentary clause. Yours sincerely, yours truly. When do we use yours sincerely? When do we use yours faithfully? This is British style. When to use, what's the difference between these two? And you find in the next slide. In the next slide. Okay, when to use this? You know this American flag? This is British flag. Unknown and known person. Unknown means you don't put the name because you don't know the name. But known means you know their name. You have the last name. Dear Mr. Jones, if you know a person's name with the British style, yours sincerely, but American style, sincerely yours. See, they switch these two words. But always remember, yours, yours. Start with a big one, but in the middle, small s, okay? And you have comma. Even though it's small thing, but remember, you have comma. Dear sir. And this is a body of the letter, blah, 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 is a letter. And you end the letter here with the formal closing. Yours truly. For the unknown person with the American style. But for the British style unknown, yours faithfully. Okay? Okay, that's the letter. Any question before we move on to our books exercise? Oh, I think I have a few more slides for you, but actually this is something you can search from the internet. For example, an example of the phrases when you want to talk about the reason applying for the job. You can do the screen capture. There's no need to mention each sentence because you can choose. Actually, there's a lot more from the internet, even the whole paragraph, but don't forget that I recommend not to copy for the whole paragraph. And this is to write about your skill. The skill last week we talked about in the job advertisement when you mention whether you have that skill that have basic knowledge or you have excellent you are excellent in doing things, or you have that skill that you are exceptionally good. Use different term. And this is about, okay, let me tell you, I opened up all this for you. Oops. If you read and experience a lot about writing on this, there'll be some debate. Some people still argue that you should not write. I believe I possess the right combination of this and that skill, maybe teamwork and whatever. But when you write about combination, when you bring some phrases from the internet or from any source, remember to check the meaning. When they say combination of, don't just put leadership skill and finish with the full stop, because combination means combine of two things. You must have of this thing and that thing. I am an experienced user of maybe some program, like an experienced user of SPSS in doing when you do the research, use a statistic program, SPSS. Okay. My professional experiences are supplemented by something. That means you have to explain to them. So whatever you choose, be sure you know the meaning. Okay. One more thing I want to talk about this is, I said, I believe. Some people argue that if you believe means you are not certain, but some people said you must put the expression like, I'm certain that I have this thing or that thing, or some other phrases which show strong belief that you have it, but you don't put the word believe, because some people argue that belief means you are not sure. But some people said, well, it's softer in the tone, that not boasting or be too strong in writing. Well, people have different opinion, but that is a minor thing for some people, but they will look at the skill that you have and example that you demonstrate to them. Closing a cover letter. There are different ways to close the letter. This is not just one sentence. Some people write just one line, but some people write in 3 or 4. But as I mentioned before, remember, I said some people summarize their value to make sure that they won't forget after reading 3 or 4 or 5 paragraphs that you have written. Emphasize to them before concluding that they should consider you, but do it in polite way. But you never say you should consider me. No, that is in talking to you, but not in writing. Sometimes you can say, I welcome the opportunity to discuss more in detail about the qualification, or you are willing to come and tell them about things that they may want you to explain in detail or something like that. But use a formal language. Instead of say, I want an opportunity to tell you in detail. No, that's informal. I would welcome the opportunity to discuss in more detail about the skills that you may want me to clarify or something. Okay, you can discuss further detail. Instead of say, discuss more detail, you may say further detail of the position with you personally, because to discuss with them personally, that implies that you want to get an interview. You will not be able to discuss with them personally unless they call you for an interview. So sometimes the sentence would imply, but we call for some action in the final paragraph. Don't just say thank you for reading my letter and you just wait, and you can wait forever. Thank you for considering me for this very important position. If that position is very important, but if it's not, it's just normal position like as a clerk, as a secretary, don't mention about that. I look forward. Usually I used to tell you, I look forward to something. If it's a verb, must be verb ing, but you can look forward with enthusiasm. This is to modify how you look forward, but this is something you look forward to. This is your feeling. This is what you want to see. You want to have an opportunity for an interview. I look forward with enthusiasm to an opportunity for an interview. Don't say I hope you will call me for an interview. That's not the proper language. Closing paragraph example. See, as I mentioned, it can be in 2 or 3 or 4 sentences. It can be a short paragraph, but not too long. This is a closing paragraph. Thank you for considering. Remember, thank you for, after preposition, you have verb ing. Thank you for considering my application. Don't write to me, thank you for consider my application. No, I always emphasize preposition. Put ing verb. Thank you for considering my application. I believe the word insert skill mean if you take this closing paragraph, you need to replace the whole thing. Take the parenthesis out and put the name of the skill or credential that you have and say that this would be valuable in the ABC company. I don't know what's wrong with this. Let me get this back. What is that space? Sometimes when you get something from internet, be careful. Sometimes it's not always 100% correct. Sometimes they put it in haste and they did in a hurry, and sometimes they forget to check. So we have to do it ourselves. I look forward to any opportunity to show you how I can be of assistance in your organization. I have attached my resume and would be happy to provide any additional information. Okay, there are some words we'll learn from our book and some exercise later. We talk about in previous slide, you can give further detail. But when we talk about information, we don't use further, we can say additional information you might need. I look forward to any opportunity to discuss. If it's not verb, you can put the noun. That's opportunity is a noun. To any opportunity to discuss the position and what I can do for your company. I believe my personal vision and values align with put the name of the company or the company brand, because each company, the brand is part of their value. And that this is not a good example. Excuse me. Remember what I mentioned about the formal letter? There should be no contraction. You should not write I have. You should not write I would be. This is not a good example. Sorry. Thank you for your time in reviewing my resume. Thank you for considering. Okay, those are some, excuse me. I have to get some water to drink. Okay. That's all for the slide that I want to show you. Now, we'll move to our book for some exercise. Okay, this is your book. So what time is it? Okay, if you want to have a break, we'll have a break now, because after get to the book, we'll go on until the end of the period. We can have 10 minutes break now, but before we have a break, any question? Any question? No question? Everything is clear? Do I speak slower this period? พูดช้าลงไหมคะ
มันสปีดนี้ได้อยู่ครับอาจารย์แต่ว่า
ได้นะ
ต้องอ่านทวนเยอะเลยครับ
โอเคเนื้อหามันเยอะใช่ไหมคะ
ครับผมคือบางทีมันแบบเหมือนหลุดบ้างอะไรบ้างแต่ถ้าเกิดผ่านไปก็โอเคพอเข้าใจอยู่ครับผม
แคปหน้าจอไว้ได้นะคะแคปหน้าจอไปเลยค่ะถ้าไม่ทันบอกครูจะย้อนกลับไปให้ได้นะคะเขียนเนื้อหาก็เดี๋ยวเราจะดูเนี่ยมันจะมีรายละเอียดเพิ่มขึ้นอย่างเช่นเวลาเราพูดถึงเรื่องของ verb ภาษาที่เป็นทางการหรือเนื้อหาไหนที่ไม่สำคัญที่ต้องตัดหรืออะไรพวกเนี้ยมันจะมีรายละเอียดอีกในหนังสือนะคะแล้วก็ดูวิธีการเขียนซึ่งมันจะเยอะกว่าเรื่องของเรซูเม่นะคะเพราะมันจะต้องเขียนเป็น paragraph writing ทีนี้เดี๋ยวเราจะมาดูหลังจากเบรกนะคะเดี๋ยวครูตั้งไทม์เมอร์ไว้10 นาทีค่ะก็หลังจากเบรกเรากลับมาเจอกันนะคะเดี๋ยวตั้งไทม์เมอร์10 นาทีมันจะดังแล้วก็เราจะกลับมาโอ้ว่าลืมเลย low battery เดี๋ยวนี้เหลือได้นิกเพราะว่าครูเปิดมาตั้งแต่ก่อนหน้านี้มันก็เลยถึง3 ชั่วโมงแล้วใช้งานสมัยก่อน10 ชั่วโมงดีใจมากตอนซื้อใหม่ๆเดี๋ยวนี้เหลือแค่3 ชั่วโมงเองเกือบตัดไปเป็น0โอเคเดี๋ยวจะกลับมานะคะ Okay, now let's get back to our book. We mentioned about this already in the slide from PowerPoint, so we'll skip this part. But I just wonder, how many of you have listened to the file I sent you for listening? Can I see your hand, please? ขอดูมือหน่อยค่ะ ใครได้ไปฟัง listening มาบ้าง ขอดูมือนิดนะคะ โอ้ ดีใจจังยังมีบ้างเนาะ โอ้ มากขึ้นกว่าเดิม ขออีกนิดนะขออีกหน่อยได้ไหมคะ มีอีกนิดไหมโอเค ดีค่ะ ฟังเพราะว่าอะไรรู้ไหม ต่อไปมันจะเยอะกว่านี้เยอะเลยนะคะ นี่มันแค่ไม่กี่ไฟล์ ต่อไปจะเป็น15ไฟล์ โอเค ขอบคุณค่ะ เอามือลงได้นะคะ Okay, so if you have listened to this listening piece, how long has Vicky been working at Green Pharmaceuticals?
3 years.
Yes, okay. 3 years. What is Vicky looking for? Sorry, why is Vicky looking for a new job?
The career prospects are limited.
Her career prospect was limited at Green Pharmaceutical, yes. She feels her career prospects are limited at Green Pharmaceutical. Okay, this is her feeling. And when we talk about the interview later on, you'll find out when we talk about the previous company or the company we work with, we will never mention about our previous organization in the negative way. But we talk about our aim, our vision, our goal. That might be different from theirs, but we don't blame them, okay? Like this company may be too small and she don't see her career prospect in the way that she would like to move on to. So this is her career prospect are limited at that place, but she did not say, oh, they didn't offer her this and that, but she said about her. It's some kind of psychology, you know, it's something you change some negative into the positive. Talk about it in the positive way. Okay, this one has been done. Now this listening, again, the same listening piece, 13, right? Track 13. This is also, oh, it's different track, sorry. But before listening, actually, this is something you can guess it in a logical way. Without listening, you can guess for this exercise. Let's see how well you can guess this. If it's correct, we'll tick here. Use a high quality paper that match the paper of your CV. Yes. It means that if you use 80 gram A4 paper for your letter, you must use 80 gram A4 CV. Sorry, for CV. Not because you have the last one left on the printer and then you ran out of paper and then you think, oh, I have to get a second page, but I don't have time to go shopping. So I just take anything that I have. And the color of the paper seems different and quality also different. No, you must use the same kind of paper. Not just the same kind, but also the high quality paper for both letter and CV. Ensure that your cover letter is written using formal language. Is it correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, you don't even have to listen. But this exercise, you can do it easily. Okay, use the same cover letter for every application.
Not.
No.
Okay, show that you have done some research into the company you're applying to.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Emphasize your suitability for the post.
Yes.
Enclose copies of your educational qualifications and certificates. Should we enclose
No,
our degree? No. Why?
they will ask if they're interested in it.
There's no need to put too many pages. Not just because of the global warming, but why should we put that? That will add to them, and they don't really need it, because actually it's easily proved whether you have degree or not. And if you don't have it and you claim to have that, that's illegal too. So not many people would lie on this qualification. But if they want to check, they can ask later. So there is no need to enclose any qualification certificate, including your degree. Okay. Even without listening, you can guess. Good guess. What do you think the most important advice that Felix give Vicky? That is from the listening. Now but that's I think you can have different opinion, but that's not very important. But I want you to look at the letter. Example letter. Here. Felix sent to Vicky. What is Jane studying at university? Okay, before we ask where in the letter, where did she work last summer? What does she do in her free time? Which paragraph would contain this information? Or which part of the letter would contain this?
The first one, the third one, and the fourth one.
Okay, number 1 is the first one, and number 2 is
The third one.
the third one. Okay, I'm not checking in the detail, but at least as long as you say third one, second one, or fourth one, they are possible. But actually, it should be to the last one, but not the first and the last for the number 2. Number 3. Where should it appear in the letter? In the
fourth one.
as long as you mention 4, I'm not going to check the detail. As long as these are in the body of the letter, either 3, number 2 or number 3 or 4 are possible answer, but we'll check in detail. Okay, but it's not to be in the first and last paragraph. Okay, this is something that show you understand where it should be. And when we want to look for this, we don't go through the letter from the first to the last line. We can check by guessing from the structure of the letter. And now here, they ask you to see in this letter. We know in general format, this is a return address, and this is recipient address, salutation, first paragraph, opening paragraph, body, and closing paragraph, and formal closing. Okay. But now they want you to see in detail of each paragraph. But before that, I want you to take a look at address. You see how many email address? How many? Can we put 2 email address? If we have 2, can we? Can we put?
ไม่ค่อยได้ยินเลยครับ
Okay. The plane is flying over my house now. I live near the airport. Okay, I put the maximum for the speaker. Can we have 2 email address in this letter? If we have 2 email address, can we put both? Yes or no? Can we put 2 email address on the return address?
No.
No. Okay. I come up with a new question. Can we use institution email address you have students email address? Can we use this one? Because we apply while we are in the final year. Can we use institution email address?
I think it should be personal email address. I think
Because
it's best. It is the main email that we use in daily life. So we can get the news as soon as possible, like every time.
Okay, let me tell you. While you're applying for a job, it may be while you're in this final year, maybe you have 2 months left, but after you leave the institution, you no longer be able to access that address. So don't use institution or organizations that you work with email address because it's no longer with you when you leave their organization. Use your own email address and write it in a professional way. Jane Natalie at kcl@ac. And this is not a good example because once she graduates from this academy, she would have to use a new address because usually they don't let you, excuse me, they don't let you use the email address after you graduate and you won't get the email to invite you for an interview. Use your own address, use a professional one. Okay, this is British style. You see the date, month, year. Actually, I recommend that you put double spacing between recipient address and date because they are different things. Some people do it together by putting italic instead of putting in a general font. Okay. Put them in block. Don't let it be long from here to here. Okay. Should not be longer than 1/3 of the space here, of the width of the page. Miss Dana, also recruitment manager, McClure and Company, Russell Square, London, and that's area code. Okay, they don't even put England because they know they apply within their own country. Dear Miss, is a comma. Okay, that's the name and company. Okay, I'm a final year student. It's about telling them who you are. This is the first paragraph that I mentioned that it tells you, first thing, tell them who you are. Second thing is what position you apply for. This is the second one over here. Associate consultant position with this company. And the third one is where you saw the ad. This is advertised on this website. You remember to use preposition on. For company website, any website, anything on the internet, we use on. Okay, now look at the body paragraph, which we have many paragraphs. As I mentioned, one paragraph, one main idea. So let's see what's the main idea of the first paragraph. First, in terms of body. Okay, that's the first, second, third in this letter. But for the body, I would put here. First, second of the body, and third, okay? And look at the main thing in the body. What's the main idea for the first paragraph of the body? Does it tell them about your qualification, your skills, experiences, or achievement?
No,
Only the first paragraph. So what does it tell you about?
how she knows about the company and why she want to work with.
Okay, that's her motivation, why she wants to work with this company and how she know about the job opening. Okay, very good. See, the first paragraph tell about motivation why she wants to work here because she have heard from someone. It didn't even mention about her skills and achievement or experience. So now let's take a look at the second paragraph. What's the second paragraph contain?
Her achievement in the research method,
Mm-hmm.
which is qualified to the job, I think.
Okay. Can you give me some example? Some word that show that that is her occasion? Her qualification, like she did some research, right? And she has some research method in doing analytical work using spreadsheet. Okay, that's one thing she mentioned. She used spreadsheet in her research. Oh, I forgot to get this thing out. Okay. In her research, she did this. In her dissertation, she did this using Excel to do something to compare the tax increase on alcohol and tobacco consumption. In addition, that's one thing she mentioned. Second part of this paragraph, she mentioned about her work at what company? What's the name of the company here in this paragraph? Can you find the name of the company?
Cost cutter.
Yes, that's the name of the company. And Wellington is the name of the branch, but the name of the company is Cost Cutter. Okay, she worked that over the summer. And what she did is she presented her suggestion in improving the layout. And the result would be the 7% increase of the sales. That's what I said. Give a succinct and clear example. That is, she give the figure. See, 7% at the time frame is autumn quarter. Not just say, oh, I make the sales increase in the company I work with, but she would give them specific things so that people who read her letter will know, oh, her work that she has done made the sales increase over the autumn quarter for 7%. Okay. What she did was she improved the layout of the store. In the last lesson, last week, remember when someone did something to increase the sales, not just stand there and say, oh, anyone who come and buy things, but she changed her layout in the gift shop. What skill that person has? The same thing with this person. Remember that word we have? In. Start with in. What skill? When you think about the organization, when you work, it's like working for your own company. You try to do your best, think about something new and implement it and make the company gain more profit. You in turn will get this profit from the profit they have by maybe your salary increase or your commission that you get more. What do we call that type of skill that that person have? In INT,
INTA.
the name of the skill in
Initiative.
skill. Remember this word. If you don't, go back to your previous lesson, entrepreneurial skill. When she arranged the new layout for the gift shop and make the sales increase. Okay, hope you still go back and review your lesson. Okay, in general, this is a paragraph that talk about her experience and qualification and skills. And sometimes this can be that more than just one paragraph. And motivation doesn't have to be this long. Sometimes it can be shorter than this. But actually the skill or experience should be not just over here, can be more. But maybe this person doesn't have much to write, but she write longer on motivation. But to me, the very important thing is this part. That's why we said we expand from the resume, because in your resume, you may say, I have the skill, you may list the spreadsheet, Excel, or you may talk about Microsoft Office Suite, which also includes Excel. You talk about the skill that you have, and you might talk about other skill, and you demonstrate here so that you can prove to them that you do know how to use Excel and you did use it, and it did give a good result. Okay. What about the last paragraph? What does it talk about?
Leisure.
Yes, at your leisure time or at your free time, in your free time. So they said, during my free time, beginning the paragraph with during my free time, I did this and that, or I do this and that. Okay, during my free time, that is mostly in general, you can write in the present tense. I sing and manage a jazz band, arranging concerts and gigs, and managing the band's accounts. So in your interest, here you can demonstrate the skill you have, not just only managing the team, do have a teamwork skill, you also have the skill for doing accounting, because you are not accountant, but you handle the band's accounts. So that shows that you also have some knowledgeable and handle that things you can manage the accounts of the band. You enjoy collaborating with people in the team. That is to show that you have collaboration with people. That is a teamwork skill. You do it with people with a similar interest, because for the interest you have, see, it can demonstrate other skills. In your resume, you mentioned about your interest that you manage a jazz band and arrange concert and gigs, but sometimes here you can expand more that you also manage an account and you collaborate with the people and you do this and that. You see, you expand from them. And other than that, you also mentioned about something good in you. Besides about the band, about the music, what else this person mentioned?
team players,
Well, a team player, yes. As he
have
works.
management skills.
Yes. All those are related to the concert. Demonstrate those skills, correct? But what about other things besides the concert? What else? Not about the skill, but what else she did that demonstrates something besides the music?
Study language.
Yes. Why it's important to mention about studying language. Attending evening class to study Italian. Why did she mention this? What does she want to show in mentioning about evening classes on Italian language?
To show that she can speak another language too.
Well, she can speak, even though not good, but she is improving her knowledge. She is a person who always keep learning. A person who keeps learning is a good person that the company require. Not just finish school and stop learning, but you still keep learning. You want to that person want to improve herself, not only Italian, but to get to the next level of her education. She tried to work towards the A-level exam so that she can achieve higher level of education. See? In the last paragraph, it doesn't mention about other experience that she had in the past, but she mentioned about her interests and about things that she do in her free time that make her be a better person. Okay, each paragraph contains one main idea. If you talk about interest here, what you do in your free time, you don't mention about interest over here. You don't mention about the skill that you have in this here, unless it imply and people can see it while collaborating. You can talk about it, but you don't emphasize on that. But people who read can tell automatically. When I read this, I see, this person work in collaboration with others. Oh, this is a teamwork. And this person should be kind of characteristic of this person should be a person with a good temper because he loves music. Because she loves music, she must be probably easygoing, but not so stressful. Okay. What do you think about this letter? Do you have enough thing to write? Actually, this person did not write about many skills that she have in the second paragraph, but she has way to mention about other things in the last paragraph too. Okay, in your book, it talk about paragraph in the black number. In the next exercise, forget about my number so that you won't get confused. I'll delete my paragraph. Okay. Now let's see. They asked you to match this thing in the arrow. But I would say this is not a correct arrow for H. Let me check again. H. What is H? Okay, actually, this arrow should be this one. It should be from this part. Oops. Rather than that one. Okay, when you talk about H, it means this part. It's in the big paragraph, yes, but not in the first part, because there are two things in this paragraph. During her dissertation and about her work, there are two things she mentioned. But the H here should be the second one, and G would be the first part. Okay, now, because it's on different page, so you have to match this. If you have done your homework, you can give me your answer and I'll tell you it's true, it's correct or not. First one is A, contact information. If I put them in 2 pages, it's going to be too small. Yeah, too small to read. And especially one is on top and the other is on the bottom. No good to do that in 2 pages. Scroll back and forth, up and down. That's make you feel dizzy. So I don't want to do that. What about here? End yours sincerely and type your name under your signature. Indicate Miss or Mr. if not obvious.
I.
Yes. Let me see first. What is I?
Your
That's
sincere.
L.
L. I'm not sure. L. Yeah, L. It's L.
Oh, here. It looks like I, but it's L. Okay, it's L. Yes. Correct? Okay, L. What about this one? Give a clear context. Say who you are and why you are writing. I tell you it's in the first paragraph. When we talk about this in opening paragraph, I don't know what number. You can tell me what item.
C.
Sorry? C?
C. Sorry.
Charlie, yes. Your sign-off should be friendly, polite, and to the point.
K.
K, yes. Point out your aptitude for the sort of skill they are seeking.
G.
G, yes.
G โอเคครับ
Name any employee you have met and say why they impressed you.
F.
F, yes. In which paragraph was this?
In the second paragraph.
Second paragraph, when you talk about motivation, why you want to apply for the job there. Okay, number 7.
J.
J. You use of your leisure time. Yeah, that's a final paragraph. Before final paragraph. Support your claim with evidence, focusing on results and achievement.
H.
Yeah, that's why I said when you support the claim of the result and achievement, that is, you put it in H in the second part of that paragraph. Because first paragraph talk about dissertation and second part talk about when you have the sale increase, that is an achievement. Number 9, include the name, title, and full address of recipient.
B.
Again, please.
B.
Bravo. You mean Bravo?
Bravo.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
B. Bravo.
Okay, yes, Bravo. Mention where you saw the job advertisement. That is in the first paragraph. So,
D.
Delta?
Yeah, D. Delta.
Okay, yes. Oh. Explain your motivation. That's the second paragraph. That's
E.
Echo? Okay, Echo.
Yeah.
Show you are acquiring additional useful skill.
I.
Yes.
Indian.
Indian, okay. Jane's cover letter, which paragraph? Okay, this using the number that the book gives you, not the red one that I already deleted. So use the book number. Which paragraph?
2.
2, yes. Positive final impression.
5.
5. Demonstrate her skills and experience relevant for the position.
The third one.
Third one, yes. Introduce herself and explain her reasons for writing.
The first one.
First
First?
one.
Oh, first. Okay.
Reason for writing should be from first one. Mention other relevant skills and interests to impress the employer.
First one.
Yeah, okay. Now begin your cover letter. As I mentioned from the previous slide in the PowerPoint, that I mentioned that we gave you one example, but it's not the only one thing that you can write. There are many different ways. But let's look at this. They want you to complete first the incomplete sentence. I'm a final year student who is you are close to graduate with a bachelor's degree in industrial engineering from Bristol University. I am writing to, not to text, to. Okay, let me tell you before you do this exercise. In this extract they give you, not all of them are advertised in the ad. Remember when we talk about this in the unit 1, sometimes they don't advertise and you call it. That's a call. There's a cold calling. You can do email, cold email, similar. You can write a letter to them and ask them about the availability or vacancy of any position in the organization. So among these, there were some of that you will see. So think about some word. When you see this keyword, possible employment opportunity, you write to ask them whether it's possible that you can apply for a job because any vacancy, because you don't know. They didn't advertise and you ask. So when you write like this, we said use a formal language. Instead of writing to ask about, you have another word that you can write. What is it?
Inquire.
Inquire. Yes, that means ask about this. This is when they don't, it's like cold emails. I am writing in to your job posting for an investment banker on your company's website. This has been advertised because it's on your company's website. See, it has been advertised. So you write it in
Response.
If you write on your own, not fill in the blank like this, remember, in response to. Try to get this together. In response to. Okay. I have
Enclose.
Enclose.
Don't forget D. Have. Present perfect. Have enclosed my CV for your consideration. I was recently, and it's another one, different letter. I was recently speaking with Mr. Fox from your firm, and he
Recommended.
very good.
Recommended.
Because we talked in the past, so we have to say recommended in the past, that I send you a copy of my CV. Knowing the
Requirement.
For the position, he felt that I would be an ideal candidate, given my experience in international sales. That means that Mr. Fox knows that this person is qualified because he knew about this person's experience in international sales. So he recommended that he send the resume. So this is Mr. Fox. When we talk about referral, this is how this person get to know about position that he applied for, because he knew from Mr. Fox. that is known from someone within the organization. This was recommended that he send. Okay, another word I would like to, another place I would like to emphasize you on grammar. Recommend that I send. Recommended, but that I send. You use to infinitive. Don't use past tense here. Recommend it that I send, not send. Okay, remember this. Use the correct grammar in your letter because this is like a business letter. มีใครลืมปิดไมค์เสียงอะไรก็ไม่รู้น้ำไหล หรือเข้าห้องน้ำเอามือถือเข้าไปด้วย
ผมขอโทษทีครับอาจารย์ผมเปิดพัดลมอัดไว้ครับ
ไม่เป็นไรครูพูดเล่นบางคนแบบว่าตั้งใจเรียนมากเลยไม่อยากพลาดแม้แต่นาทีเดียวก็ถือเข้าไปด้วยแล้วเปิดน้ำก๊อกล้างมืออะไรอย่างเงี้ยนะบางทีอาจจะมีเสียงไม่เป็นไรค่ะไม่ซีเรียส อย่าเล่นๆ I would like to apply for the postก็เหมือนกับ the position นะ of a commercial solicitors. Okay, I forget to tell you many times you write capital letter for the name of the position you apply for in the letter. A commercial solicitor in your firm as
advertise,
yes, very good. Advertise, ed, no? As advertised on legalpositions.com. As a recent graduate, I was particularly happy to see that the position is open to newly
qualified.
Yes. So we need an adjective. So this is qualify. How do you spell qualify? FY qualify, but here we use it as an adjective form. You must have IED. Okay, because this is a noun. This is an adverb modify adjective, and adjective should be qualified. Remember that to use the correct form. Please accept this letter as
application
for marketing manager. See, we always put name of the position in the big letter on the first letter. Position currently listed on monster.com. My CV is attached for your
consideration.
Okay, very good. So I think many of you have done your homework. That's why the answer come quicker than some section that didn't do much homework. Okay. Now we have following exercise. Ask you to do this, but it's on different page. You have to scroll back and forth. But let me tell you, before we do this, there are three things. It's a job advertisement. Any extract that have job advertisement or anyone that is post speculative job advertisement, that means they don't advertise, or anyone with some recommendation. We already told you. I have already told you about this, right? Which one is like inquire, because we talk about possible employment opportunity. That means that one they didn't advertise. So that one would be a cold speculative job application. And for something, say, on monster.com, on company web, any website, that means it's been advertised. But for recommendation, I think there's only one. Mr. Fox, here is on recommendation, number 3. Okay, so we got all these 3 answers already. But now, let's see. Opening paragraph by 3 people here. Let's have a critical look at this and tell me whether you think first, second, third one, which is good or bad, and why. That means you see something that you think it's good, or you see something that it's bad. You must see something before you say it's bad or not good in what point that they haven't mentioned, or in that they have mentioned in the wrong way. Actually, the answer came from the listening piece from track 14, but I want you to take a look first before we did that listening. We'll do this listening today, only one listening. Hope we may not have much time. Let's see. Number 1 first. Well, actually, you can do number 2 first or number 3 first. I don't mind. Anyone that you can see. Okay, don't worry, we don't have to finish the whole unit today. We can finish next week. So have to think first.
The third one is not mentioned to the position.
Very good. I can't find the position, just applying for a job. So this one will be thrown into the garbage bin. Or they don't do it because global warming, they may use a second page as something for the company, or they may sell it in kilo. What position this person is applying for? We can't find it. So this is a big mistake. Okay, what else? From anyone, you can, even from number 1, 2, or 3. You can start with number 3. Anyone can add to number 3 or any number. Remember, this is the opening paragraph. You must have at least 3 things to mention. Can you find all of them?
The third one, we don't really know who she is or who he is.
Okay.
Like nothing about himself.
Nothing about who she is. Okay, we can't find it. Okay, very good. You found both of the mistake. Did she say where she saw the ad?
No.
No. Okay.
That-
She didn't. She only talk about her motivation. Okay. What about another 2 paragraphs here?
The second one, that she believes she is suitable because she interested in banking. I think it's a bit weird.
It's not logical. When you're interested in something, it does not mean that you are good at that thing. Only your interest. Okay, very good on this point. She talked about who she is. She's a final year student majoring in this, and she saw the advertisement there. Okay, but the reason for applying is not logical. Okay, what else? Anyone can find more from any number? Number 1, 2, or 3, anything. If you have listened to this as your homework, I think you you can tell what number one is. The language is quite strong, too strong. But which part is too strong?
Absolutely no doubt.
There's really no doubt that my qualification that make me an indispensable member of your team. Oh, they, it's like they must depend on me. Okay. Now let's do the listening. This is the easiest way to get the listening is to get from the team. You don't have to choose what program that you choose to turn on this listening piece. Just go to the Unit 2 in class material and you just click on, Unit 3. I'm sorry. Unit 3 and track 14, right? Yeah, track 14. You don't have to choose what program. Just turn it on and just click on button here. Okay, listen to what she said about that 3 extract from opening paragraph.
3.3. Well, Grace, what do you think about this as an opening for a cover letter?
I'm sorry to say, but I think it's a bit of a disaster, Oliver. First of all, the applicant hasn't even mentioned what position they're applying for. And in the second sentence, they have obviously just taken a lot of phrases straight from the company's own website, word for word.
Yes, I see what you mean.
One thing that I haven't mentioned, but she mentioned, not to copy from the ad word for word, because the language for the company when they advertise is a different type of language we use to apply for the job. We need to paraphrase or put it in our own words, so don't copy, because usually when they put it in their writing, they want to attract the best candidate. Not just we compete among the candidates, but the company also competing among themselves to get the best candidate. So they will use the language that will attract the reader or the applicants to go to them, because every company wants the best candidate. So they try to put it in the way that they are well-established company and they want this and that kind of person. So, and the people here can see that she copied words for words because the tone of the language and things is different.
It's really important that the applicant makes it immediately clear precisely what job they're applying for. This example is far too vague. And when it comes to company phrases and mission statements, it'd be much better if the applicant had put this into their own words.
I totally agree.
Now, this next cover letter is much better.
Aye.
The applicant has specifically mentioned the position they're applying for and also how they found out about the job.
You're right, but later on at the end of the paragraph, the applicant claims that they're the right person for the job just because they're interested in the position.
No.
It isn't logical to say that you're suitable for a job because you're interested in it. I'm interested in medicine, but I'm certainly not qualified to be a doctor. The applicant should have concentrated more on how their academic background matches the requirements for the job.
What do you think about the last example?
Yeah, it starts off okay, but the ending is far too confident and boastful for me.
Definitely. The applicant should have toned down the phrase, have absolutely no doubt. It's far too strong. A better alternative would be, I am confident that, or I believe that.
Yes. I also think that an indispensable member is too strong. I'd prefer something like a valuable asset or a competent candidate. They could have even rephrased the sentence slightly and finished with, I believe this experience has provided me with the qualifications, experience and skills you are looking for.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope you can go back and listen again to what she recommends to write instead of doing what we heard from, not instead of writing the way these people were writing, but she recommend to end it with a better sentence. Okay. And this listening is the answer for this exercise that we have done. And advice also is there. Now we have half an hour left, we still can move on. Okay, when you hear, when she first criticized that person copy words for words from the ad, which part that you would see that they copy word for word? Number 1, 2, or 3?
The third one.
Yeah, the third one. When you listen to this, you will know that they didn't talk in order from 1, 2, 3, but they did it in 3, 2, and 1. Okay? So don't get confused. Don't try to find out those things about word for word that they have copy. It's not here, but it's here. The cutting edge of global strategy, a firm whose greatest asset are its people. That's a phrase that they copy from the ad. Okay. So if you did not notice this, yeah, I would like to tell you that they start talking from number 3, 2, and 1. So you go back and listen again, and you will see this clearer. The advice that they gave them also, you can listen to that again at the end. They give an example sentence. Now, writing the main body of the letter. As I mentioned, this is the most difficult part, but not too difficult. You have to demonstrate your skill and experience. You have introduction, or you have the opening paragraph, you have the ending or formal closing. But in the body, you talk about your skill and experience. Okay? But how? As I mentioned earlier, you have to get a relevant experience. Relevant is a keyword that we have used from the very beginning. Oh, just 1 square. If you have lots of experience and they are not relevant, why should you mention experience and skill that are relevant and relate to the position you're applying for? That's why earlier I mentioned that you have to see whether you have taken the phrases or words from the ad into your letter. You have to demonstrate the evidence of your skill. The word claim means you say you have something or you can do something, but there is no proof, so you have to prove it. If you claim that you're a hardworking, flexible team player with excellent IT skills, you need to prove it by giving evidence. Providing evidence is telling them what you have done in the past that show that you have this skill. I gave you an article to read, team player. If you have read this, you know what team player is. Okay, how long should the main body of the letter be? How long? I mentioned before, when they do it in the first half of the lesson with the PowerPoint, I told you how many paragraph or how long. The main body is the longest section, but how long should it be? How long?
No limit.
No limit.
That all of them must be in 1 page.
Yeah, in 1 page. No limit should be in 1 page. And also each paragraph should contain the same idea, not mix them up, you know. Okay. Many specific points should you make? How many? As long as they're relevant. Must be specific to the job that you apply for. So I can say how many. But you should at least mention some 3 or 4, not just 1 or 2. You should make 3 or 4, but no fixed number. That doesn't mean too little information. Otherwise, you can't prove to them that you have that certain skill. How will this section change depending on the job you're applying for? Because, as I mentioned, if they require a lot, you may have more sections. If they require a few things, you may have a few sections, but not, as you mentioned, not longer than 1 page. Now let's see. The skill. When you want to demonstrate that you have some skill that you claim that you have, you need to tell them, okay, this person, the first one, the extract from the letter demonstrates some skills. The first one demonstrates intercultural awareness and self-awareness, because she mentioned that in her experience of the time that she worked overseas, that she had more understanding of the international culture, but she also has understanding of her own culture. That is to have self-awareness and intercultural awareness. See, this is how she wrote in the letter. This is in the body of the letter when she mentioned about her awareness, both self-awareness and intercultural awareness. Now let's see number 2. Number 1 is an example. When you see this, you know, okay, this is something you underline. Okay, that's what you underline. Now, what about number 2? Within my role as a project manager, I'm responsible for leading a team of 5 people. We often have to work unsociable hours. Unsocial means not sociable hours mean at the time that you cannot go to see people and talk and have fun with people, because it's a time that you work under difficult conditions. I ensure that team morale is maintained by regularly counseling team members to check they are coping with the demands of the job. The good leader will check and see if the team member have any need or need any support. So this person ensure that the team morale is maintained by doing this thing. Give counseling to the team member. That is team spirit. Not just think about, oh, you're the boss and tell your team member to do this and that, but you also support them. That is team morale. What skill or what characteristic that person has?
Flexibility.
Which part of flexibility?
And interpersonal skill.
Interpersonal skill doesn't mean flexibility, but interpersonal skill means you are a person who can relate to others. In the teamwork, you need interpersonal skill. Yes, you need teamwork skill, because in teamwork skill also include interpersonal skill. But here, flexibility comes at some phrase in here. Yes, flexibility is correct, but not in that place.
Work unsociable hours.
Yes. Remember when we talk about being flexible, sometimes you have to work overtime and sometimes you have to work on something different from what you have to do. Things change every day or every week, or sometimes you were asked to work in the branch in another city. I mean, it's not the same thing that you used to do. So usually you have to work during office hour, but if you have to work during unsociable hour, you are kind of person who is flexible. Yes. Okay, what else? This is also under difficult condition too, not just only under sociable hour, but difficult condition. You are flexible person. One more. They said there are 2.
Interpersonal skills.
Yes, but where?
Counseling team members.
Yeah, you have to work in a team. So you need interpersonal skill. Okay, if you can analyze this, it means that you know how to put your skill in something because you know whether what you have written matches the skill that you mentioned or not. Remember, we expand from resume. In your resume, you mentioned you are flexible, you are highly motivated, flexible, and whatever. Or you can mention about the skill. You have teamwork skill, language skill, communication skill. Now you are expanding from your resume. You explain to them by telling them what happened or what you did in your work. Now, what about number 3? Although I do not possess any experience in hotel industry, I was a holiday representative for Extreme Holidays for 2 consecutive summers. Consecutive mean 2 summers in a row. Mean this summer and next summer. Don't skip the year, but it's if you have 2 summer, means summer this year and summer last year, or summer this year and summer next year, but not last year and the next year, because it must go together, stick together. That's 2 consecutive summers, where I learned that customer satisfaction is the key to success in the service industry. I implemented a new way for customer feedback to be recorded, which helped Extreme Holidays develop the service that they provide by identifying areas needing improvement. I believe I can apply the skills obtained from my previous employment to the position.
Customer service skill.
Customer service skill, where?
Customer satisfaction is the key to success.
You learned that, okay, you learned about this. That satisfaction is the key to success. Okay, you have learned that. Customer satisfaction is key to success. What else?
Initiative.
Again, please.
Initiative.
Oh, initiative. Initiative. Where did you see initiative?
Implement a new way.
The keyword is a new way because you initiate something new. That's why we call initiate. Initiate is a verb. Initiative is a noun. You are a person who has initiate something new. Your initiative. Okay.
And I also think about IT skill as well, because if that new way is in the computer system again, it should belong to IT skill as well.
Where?
Also,
where IT skill? Where? Which sentence?
I think if that new way that he mentioned.
Oh, okay.
Can be related to IT skill as well, and also the data analysis. We have to record the data, right? The feedback, and after that we have to do the analysis again. So it belongs to IT skill.
Okay, why should we get that recorded? Well, customer feedback, it depends, but what you say is possible too. We need to have analysis, otherwise it's in vain to record something that you don't utilize the data. Very good. But some feedback may not need IT skill. Some feedback, yes. It depends on what type of feedback you get in quantity or quantitative or qualitative form. If it's just opinion, it's in qualitative. It may not be just like quantitative. You may have to read their feedback about their opinion or in their writing. And that is a qualitative. But for quantitative, yes, you may use data analysis and you may use IT skill. But if it just qualitative, you may not need IT skill sometimes. It depends on the design of your questionnaire. If you also have to count how many people give this feedback, and then if you count it in statistic, yes, you may use IT skill. Okay, good. As long as you can explain, that is very good. Remember, when we talk about this in the interview, they will ask you and you can explain to them that, yes, I do this, and you can expand more in the interview that in that information, in the feedback that you got, you record that in probably Excel, because the number of people who give this, because I did the questionnaire in 20 questions and have to see whether the difference in this thing is significant or not, and you may use statistic and you can analyze the outcome. Okay, that's good. Oh, we have seen those two. What about the fourth one? The fourth one. This summer, I worked at Alton Towers theme park, where I was initially responsible for operating various rides. เครื่องเล่นในสนามสวนเด็กเล่นในอะไรเขาเรียกสวนสนุกเขาเรียก rides นะคะ However, as I can speak both Italian and English fluently, I was quickly moved into the gift shop to deal with customers. Working in the shop helped me to learn the importance of dealing with customers in a friendly and efficient way. During this month, I suggested changing the layout of some of the gift displays. These changes led to a significant increase in the sales of souvenirs. Oh, we didn't do this exercise yet. I thought we did. Sorry, that's from previous section. That's a section study with me on Tuesday. Yeah, I mentioned about this word, but actually, I'm sorry. Before this, I mentioned about this word and then asked you. I forgot that you haven't done this exercise. But this is something mentioned here. Okay, because I have mentioned this in the previous exercise, but I forgot that this is in the last exercise that you haven't done before. But I did tell you entrepreneur skill. It's about the feeling of the ownership. Because the owner of the business will think more than the employee. Employees just work according to their job description. Some people are good. Some people are better. Some people are excellent. And they perform things more than what they're assigned to do. And they use more critical thinking, think of the new way to improve things in the company. But the people who own the company think more. How can I improve things to get more income, to get better profit? And this person here who work with that organization think like this. And she has entrepreneurial skills because she improved the gift display by changing the layout. That's why. Okay, I tell you this because I mentioned about this in previous exercise that she has this one. But one more skill from number 4. Can you find out what skill?
Customer service.
Yes, customer service skill, because she worked within a shop. She has to deal with a customer, right? And she realized the importance of dealing with a customer in a friendly and efficient way. That is a customer service skill. Yes. What about number 5? The last one. I have a strong history of staff management, working closely with my current team on their personal development plans, and understand my role assisting and promoting staff member success. I regularly check feedback on my performance from my superiors and colleagues to identify areas I need to improve in. She deals with superior and colleagues are people with the same level, that is your co-worker.
leadership skill.
Leadership skill where?
The role assisting and promoting staff member success.
Assisting and promoting staff member success. Okay.
And self-awareness from seek feedback.
Seek feedback on my performance, not feedback on other, but feedback on my performance. That is about self-awareness, because you seek feedback on your performance, my performance, because you want to know how well you perform, so you get the feedback from others. Okay, very good. Any question on the skills? Because this is the main part of the letter, that is a body, which you have many paragraphs, and among those, the most thing you write in the body is about your experience and achievement, about the skills that you have. And this is an example of what you have written. You don't have to say, I have self-awareness and leadership. You never say those things in here. But what you demonstrate here can tell that you have it. Leadership, as I mentioned before, leadership doesn't have to be the boss, but the boss, some people have good leadership, some people are not good in leading people. They just are bossy, telling people to do this and that. But if you're a leader, you need to support your team member, promoting their success. That is the team morale. You need to support your staff when they can't do things, and you need to promote their success by assisting them, help them if they can't do it. At the same time, as a leader, not only just promoting, but you also need to keep track of what they're doing. Not just, okay, when they can't do things, they come to me and I help them. But you also need to check if they are doing their work. If they just look at their mobile and get busy with their social media, oh, that's not good. You have to warn them, hey, this is office time. My friend in Germany, her husband is a German, and he is an engineer. And he said in his company, if you doing things with the social media, with the mobile in their work, they sack you immediately. Sack means fire. They terminate your contract. Okay. Among those 5 extracts you get from body paragraph, you can also see some of these phrases that you can use. For example, my past experience of this and this has brought me like this. You see? Within my role as this position, I am responsible for something. This is the phrase that you can copy. Use my experience of working. If you don't work overseas, don't copy this. Working as something. Like this, within my role, my past experience of working with what company has brought me understanding of or brought me some experience in doing something. You can change, but be sure to use the right preposition. There are a lot of things you can imitate, but don't copy like, I have a strong history of this. If you don't have the history of that thing and don't have strong history of that, don't mention. Always think about the reality of your experience, whether you have it or not. Now, let's see the last exercise. Oh, not last, almost the last. Well, there's no need to do this. This is, you have to do it, but this is for your own. And you do your homework, you read the job ad, and you need to see the skill and experience. This I mentioned many times on this. It must be relevant to the position you apply for. And we don't have time for discussion. What position? You can track this from this letter. Position. They ask about position. Ask about the current job. What the subject or major of her degree. And the skill and experience that this person have. Okay, let's take a look. But before taking a look at that, I think we should fill in the blank with that. Well, we can do that later. But just scan through this. But before we do this, where can we find the answer for number 1? There is no need to go through first line to the last line for those 4 questions. But what about the first line? Position, sorry, first item. Position, we know it must be in the first paragraph, right? For the position of, here, we see public relation officer. We know it's going to be here. What is she doing currently? If you can scan through this, if you don't find it here, it must be in the very first paragraph because we will write things in logical order. We don't put things in the past and then get back to present and then back and forth, you know. We have to do it in logical order. So we talk about current. It should be in the very first paragraph of the body. This is the first body paragraph. Second, I am currently working as, here we see it current job, currently working as, this is the answer for that current job. The subject she studied, that's talking about her degree. You can go through for the degree. Where would that be? Where did she mention about her degree? What is her degree?
Political science.
Which paragraph? Can you check your paragraph 2?
Emหาไม่เจอจัน อยู่ตรง
Oh
ไหน
no, paragraph 1.
Okay, number 1. With okay เพื่อนบอกหาไม่เจอช่วยบอกบรรทัดเพื่อความรวดเร็วเวลาเราเหลือนิดเดียว
ก็โอเควันเจอแล้วครับตอนแรกหาทูหาไม่เจอโอเคครับผม
โอเคตอนนี้เจอแล้วนะครับ โอเคใครไม่เจอก็ต้องกลับไปหานะ Political science เห็นคำว่า degree in political science เนอะแล้วก็คำถามที่4 skill and experience มีเยอะเนาะอ่ะข้อ4ยังไม่พูดแล้วกันเพราะมันก็มีเยอะแล้วก็ลองไปหาดูในนี้นะคะมีอะไรบ้างแล้วก็ไป fill in the blank มาเป็นการบ้านเวลาเราเหลือนิดเดียวขอเช็คชื่อหน่อยหนึ่งนะคะเดี๋ยวเราไปเช็คชื่อที่เดี๋ยวครูจะส่งลิงก์ให้ Google Form มีคำถาม2ข้อเท่านั้นเองนะคะในการเช็คชื่อเดี๋ยวครูเซ็นลิงก์ก่อนส่งลิงก์ตัด URL อย่าใส่เลขที่ผิดนะคะแล้วก็คนที่มาเรียนเพิ่มที่กลุ่มนี้นะคะก็ช่วยใส่เลขที่ให้เป็นเลขที่สุดท้ายของที่มีอยู่ในนี้นะคะเพราะว่าจะได้ไม่ไปซ้ำกันกับเลขที่มีอยู่ลิงก์เดี๋ยวส่งให้ในแชทของทีมนะคะแชท